What is the difference between a precious opal and a Potch opal? Now, a precious opal is the one that everyone thinks of when the word opal lands on their eardrum. Most people don't really understand the fact that there is something such as Potch opal, aka common opal. But opal is in fact actually quite common. It's just an amorphous variety of sort of hydrated amorphous silica material. It's just bereft of that sort of highly ordered atomic structure that we see in a crystal, or less ordered structure that we see in a mineral. Both a mineral and a crystal are characterized by an ordered atomic structure, which something like opal, whether that be precious, or potch, which is this variety here, which is sort of like a dendritic potch opal, which you can see doesn't exhibit that sort of magnificent play of color that you see on the surface dancing around in sort of disco-esque fashion. It's this sort of greasy, sort of comparatively sort of dull looking material. Now, the difference is structural. Now, yes, they are both amorphous in the same way that something like glass is amorphous. So it has this sort of atomic irregularity that is quite higgledy-piggledy and all over the place. However, if you cross-reference a precious opal against a potch opal, at the nanoscopic level, there is higher level of regularity than there is in something like a potch opal or non-precious or common opal. So when the silicon and oxygen atoms bind, sort of like 150 to 300 nanometers larger than an atom, they sort of tend to create little silica spheres. So whether it's a precious opal or a potch opal, they are basically built aloft lots and lots and lots of these little nanospheres of silica. That's how they're bound together. However, these materials differ in such a way that with a precious opal, there is more regularity. They are stacked on top of each other in a way that allows light to pass through them because of a phenomenon called Bragg diffraction. However, with non-precious opal or potch opal or common opal, they are stacked in a much more irregular fashion. And when you stack things in an irregular fashion, regardless of how big they are, light doesn't pass through it as easily, which means it manifests as a material that doesn't exhibit that sort of disco-esque optical phenomenon. So basically, precious opal and potch opal, or non-precious opal or common opal, differ subtly because of the way that the silica spheres or nanospheres comprised of silica that they are made out of are stacked very differently. Although they are both amorphous at the atomic level, there is a degree of regularity that we see in something like precious opal. This allows light to pass through in a way that you can't do with a potch opal.